I'm back with more unorthodox decks. Today I'll be showing off my NBN tagflood deck. You might have remembered this from some time ago. I've resurrected it with the two latest data packs. I feel like now it has even more teeth to shine. If you remember, it was my Bernese Mine Chilo City Grid deck that tried to tag the runner during their turn. So they'll inflict tags on themselves, and I'll finish them off with triple scorched. Now the two new cards in the latest two data packs are Information Overload and Manhunt. Manhunt as a current is incredibly powerful. It's as long as the runner does not steal any agendas, it is very, very strong. At the least, it will tax them like crazy. At the most, it sets up for your Scorched Earth shenanigans, and it works perfectly with NBN's two recurring credits. So the first thing that my deck needs, the most basic thing, is to get the first melange off. That is the most important thing. Every single game where I don't get a melange off, I will inevitably lose. So the early melange is super important, and especially against Kate, who doesn't really have any good way of getting it early. I actually managed to get two charges of melange off before he parasited my quandary away, but well, by then the damage has been done. I've gained 13 credits over the course of 2 turns. A lot of money, and it's pretty solid. And I have a Data Raven that is securely guarding R&D. There is no way he will dare to run through a Data Raven until he has some way to at least break the trace. Even after he can break the trace, it's a one tag tax every time he runs. So I'm very sure this will be very painful for him. Now, unfortunately, he has an Inti. I wanted to score the breaking news and trash his same old thing, but that's not happening. Very unfortunate for me. Oh well. On the bright side, that's only one agenda point loss. I can live with that. I was very tempted to stack 2 Data Ravens on R&D. I realized that's not very useful because he'll just go tag me anyway. And my R&D will be very porous from then on out. So instead, I put the Data Raven on HQ, so now he's deterred from running for both servers, which will be very important, because now there isn't a very good way for me to score through remotes. My only hard end run eyes are Wraparound and Quandary, and he has an answer to both of them right now. So now I take advantage of him being low on credits. Thankfully, he has been spending time running and installing. I've forced him to install programs when he should be drawing up and playing Lucky Finds. So thanks to that, he is pretty poor, and I take advantage of this by getting 2 Petri dishes out. That will be very important, as I can start tracing him for copious amounts. And more importantly, I'm forcing him to run. So he's running through my servers, he's wasting clicks, face checking cards that he's not trashing. Yes, he only has 3 credits. He cannot afford to spend all his credits just to trash my Petri dishes when he should be playing Lucky Find. So that is his loss. He just lost 2 clicks right there, basically. A double Enigma, how cool is that? And I didn't have to spend any credits. He has to check my remotes because they could be Astro Scripts. So yeah. In the meantime, I managed to find the Chilo Bernese combo early on, which is really great. This rarely happens when I play this deck. Usually either both Chilo City Grids or both Bernese Mines end up at the bottom of the deck, and I cannot combo as a result. But here, I get to put both of them securely on R&D, because he will definitely look to pressure R&D. So I'll make sure that he's appropriately punished if he decides to come into R&D. Alright, so he makes up for his lost time by dirty laundering. So now he's up to 9 credits, very solid amount. And now on my mind is a very important thing. I need to find a way to score agendas, because he can just wait it out otherwise, and I won't be able to do anything. I need to score agendas to place pressure on him, at least get an Astro Script out. But now I feel like HQ might be vulnerable should he decide to bring in a Femme Fatale, which I know he runs. So if he Femme Fatales HQ, he can get in with an easy legwork, and I don't want him to steal any Astro Scripts. So I toss my agendas in with Jackson and recycle them. So now he installs an Imp. He's running Imp. It costs 3 influence, but it's a great card against Near Earth Hub, and it works well against me too. He just used that imp to trash my what do you call that, petri dish, and he gets to top deck it next turn, meaning that he can trash even more cards. Alright, I still have one petri dish life. It was good that he actually thought of trashing one petri dish, because otherwise Manhunt would really get the best of him. As I start to play it, he knows that I am going to trace him for a huge amount if he chooses to run. I have a petri dish and my ID, which means that I can trace him for 7. So instead of running other servers, he decides to make a run on R&D. He first test runs a FEM, which is very much expected. And he probably will make us eye through. Nope, he pulls off an indexing instead. A very, very interesting choice. I think he should be expecting that I'm playing a massive tag flood. So first, I trace him with Manhunt for 4. He needs to pay 3 credits to break it. To beat the trace. This was a big mistake. I should have pumped the trace such that he would have to spend basically all his credits to beat the trace, because if I landed the trace, he would gain 2 tags. 1 for losing the trace to Chilo and 1 for Manhunt. I wanted to save the recurring credits on Petri Dish for Bernie's Mine, but I realized that I didn't need that many. So I should have dumped those 2 credits on Petri Dish onto Manhunt. That was a huge mistake. Huge mistake by me. I failed to calculate the proper amount of credits, and I will definitely pay for this down the road. I could have stuck 4 tags on him, but instead, he's only getting 2 tags. Imagine if he has 4 tags. He will have to spend an entire turn just to clear those tags up, and he's not very rich right now. Yeah, so with a Petri Dish out, I can do so much damage to him in terms of traces, but that was an opportunity that was very much wasted. Very, very unfortunate. Alright, he relocates the FAM to HQ after seeing that R&D was impenetrable. Arguably, he made a mistake here. Maybe he should have ignored the indexing, instead choosing to trash Bernie's Mine. If he ever plans to go back to R&D, he should be trashing Bernie's Mine, because otherwise he will have to spend another full turn disarming the upgrades in R&D before he can properly access cards. If indexing is his only means of digging deep into R&D, yeah, he's not going to have a good time, because Bernie's Mine and Chilo will just stick lots and lots of tags on him. Alright, so he finally decides to get rid of my Petri Dish. Very wise choice. It's so unfortunate that I didn't manage to use Petri Dish to its full effect. Definitely a lot wanting right there. Very unfortunate. Alright, so I draw into another Chilo City Grid. I can use that to masquerade as an agenda, to place some pressure on him, hopefully bait him into making a run. Right now he has 3 tags and 7 credits. He's in a very weak position. Hopefully I can bait him making a run and forcing him to pay even more credits to Manhunt. But instead he clears all the tags. So if only there was an extra script. That was regrettable. There was a scoring window over there, but I didn't manage to take advantage of it. Didn't manage to read him as well as I wanted to. Alright, so I contemplated throwing the NEPD in the remote. Because HQ is completely porous, he gets through for 1 credit each time. And he gets to imp 1 card of his choice. Not something I want to deal with. Alright, so he quickly gets a lot of credits. In the meantime, I draw up with Jackson. And I find another Jackson Howard, so that's very good news. He can run that server, he will get tagged with Manhunt, and I still have another Jackson to play with. Now it seems like his deck is completely oriented on making successful indexing runs, because it looks like his sole mission in life is to get rid of my Jackson Howards. So he runs my server even though there are 2 eyes protecting it, and I think to myself whether I should raise the ice. The wraparound, I decided not to waste it because he can get through for 1 credit. I'd rather keep it there as a surprise factor. So, and the information overload, which is the second ice on the remote server, is useless because he has no tags. He cleared all his tags. Alright, so he beats the Manhunt trace, and this is why I didn't res Chilo City Grid, because he would easily trash it with Imp. the 6 trash cost is irrelevant. So if I wasn't going to stick 2 tags on him with Chilo, I might as well not rest him. 3 credits to rest Chilo is pretty expensive. Alright, now I secure R&D. HQ, very important. Make sure that he doesn't get in for free. And another important point to take note is that I do not trash the data ribbon. Against Shapers, you never trash femmed ice because they can easily scavenge the fem and get the fem token back. So you just wasted your money raising the data raven. And it's a very precious data raven because it's the only thing that's stopping him from getting to HQ easily. Alright, so I finally find the Astro script, so now it's definitely going in the server. And to distract him, I'm playing the Jackson Howard in the other remote. So hopefully this will tax him for enough credits to prevent him from scoring the Astro script. We'll see. Alright, so he runs my remote and I trace him for 3. If you notice, every single time he triggers the manhunt trace, I trace him for 3. This increases the trace to 5, so he needs to pay 4 to break it. To him, if you think in his shoes, the choice is either pay 4 so that you don't get tagged, or you get tagged and then pay 2 credits and a click later to shake the tag. Both are pretty horrible options. So that is what you need to create when you're playing NBN. And for the cost of just 1 extra credit, I can force him into doing so. Otherwise, it's a no-brainer. He'll just pay 2 credits to beat the trace. I mean 3 credits to beat the trace. He doesn't want to lose a click. Alright, so I managed to keep him out of the server because he was too poor to run that server, and as a result, I managed to score my first Astro script. So now things can start getting out of hand. This is fantastic for me. Unfortunately, I still haven't seen any of my Scorch Turfs. I really need them. In case he carelessly runs R&D once more, I can take advantage of his tags to burn him down. He's ending on 5 cards in his hand most of the time thanks to Diesel and Quality Time, so that's a problem. Very hard to Scorch him down unless I see 2 copies of it. Alright, so there's an Atman. That is a very worrying icebreaker to worry about because I run both RSVP and Data Raven, both of which are 4 strength. Easy bait for Atman. Once he gets his Atman 4 out, there's nothing that can stop him. Oh, and by the way, Information Overload is also at 4 strength. That is terrible. Yep. Alright, so he finally decides to run HQ. I rest a Shadow, make him pay 3 each time he wants to get through. Hopefully he doesn't hate my breaking news. I mean, I don't mind him scoring another few agenda points, but what I really don't want him to do is to trash the manhunt. It cost me 3 credits to pay to play that manhunt, so I really want to get the fullest use out of that manhunt. And so far, it's been working very well. Every single time I've been tracing him non-stop, he must have made at least 5 successful runs now. It's paying off really good. Every single time he's forced to pay the equivalent of 4 credits just to shake the tag, it is highly, highly taxing. It is a surprise to me that he still manages to stay afloat in credits after all this time. That's really bad news for me. Alright, so I finally get desperate enough because I draw the restructured data pool, so I decided to install the NAPD in the remote. Hopefully fake him into thinking that it's an upgrade, but alas, he really wants to face check every single remote, so well, yeah, you can have it. But first, let me trace you with Manhunt. The last time I'll get to use it. Alright, so he gains the tag, which he will have to shake later on, but he does score the NAPD. And there goes the Manhunt. Well, it was fantastic while it lasted. The 2 recurring NBN credits were put to very great use. Alright, so he's still pretty rich, 8 credits, and I draw into another NAPD, which I'm forced to trash into Archives. Hopefully he won't run Archives. At least, I don't think he runs Data Sucker. Whoops, of course, he runs Dirty Laundry. So, he finds the NAPD in Archives but doesn't go for it. Because he knows that I'm agenda flooded, so he legworks me. Oh dear, well, that's game pretty much. Yep. As long as he hits the restructured data pool, he can always fetch the NAPD later to win the game. And first card, the restructured data pool, he just wins outright. So that was a game put to a screeching halt with that legwork, but very well spotted by him. The moment he saw the NAPD in Archives, it was like a shark drawn to blood. He knew where the agendas were and he made me pay for it. That was why I needed the Shadow on. HQ. Alas, it just wasn't enough. NBN ice, the ice that I'm packing is way too thin to deal with that kind of pressure. And unfortunately, I folded to it. That's a problem with playing 5-3 agendas generally, but I really don't want to increase my agenda density because that really reduces the effectiveness of Manhunt. You saw how long he had to go without stealing a single agenda, and that really cost him a lot of credits. The only problem was that my ice wasn't able to tax him as much as I would have liked. The quandaries and wraparounds were easily passed for 1 credit. The Data Raven, Fem Data Raven also passes for 1 credit, so I wasn't taxing him much at all. The only tax I was inflicting on him was with Manhunt Traces, and when that stopped, the party was over. There was nothing I could do to salvage the situation. Admittedly, I should have played much better in the early game, especially when I had the chance to stick 4 tags on him. But at the end of the day, it also was really bad luck that all 3 of my Scorched Earths were in the bottom half of the deck. That was ridiculous. That was so unfortunate. I can't stress enough. I'm like, where are my Scorched Earths? I'm drawing up with Jackson. I'm drawing manually. There are no Scorched Earths to be seen. And that was my alternative route to victory. It didn't happen. Well, it wasn't really possible anyway. As I said, he had too many cards in hand and he was pretty rich most of the way. But it's still a pretty fun deck to try out. The Petri dishes are once again not really paying off very well, but hopefully I can get it to work better in the future. For now, this deck is back to the drawing board. I hope to make a deck puts Manhunt to very good use because I really think it's one of the few currents with some sort of potential to be built around. That's all I have. Thanks for watching and happy net running. See you around.